The arrival. The twin suns of Verdona cast their golden glow across the valley, painting the iridescent trees in shades of amber and pearl. 7-year-old Timmy Cole ran through the meadow, his laughter echoing as he chased the luminous flutterbugs that danced around him like living stars. His stuffed tiger, worn from countless adventures, bounced against his side. Timmy, his mother Mara called from their cottage porch. "Dinner's almost ready." But Timmy was captivated by a particularly bright flutterbug when the world suddenly changed. The sky darkened as if a cloud had swallowed the suns. A deep, resonant hum filled the air, making the ground beneath his feet vibrate. Mara's face went pale as she looked up. A massive shadow blocked out the light, something enormous descending from the clouds. "Timmy," she screamed, her voice sharp with terror. "Come here now." The boy froze, his eyes widening as a colossal ship materialized above them. Its sleek, angular hull gleamed black and crimson, with alien symbols pulsing along its surface like a heartbeat. The very air seemed to tremble as landing struts extended with mechanical precision. The ship touched down in the village center with a hiss of steam and hydraulics. Timmy clutched his tiger tighter, his small heart pounding as villagers emerged from their homes, gathering in fearful clusters. The ship's ramp lowered with a metallic groan. What emerged made everyone gasp in terror. The cracks were towering reptilian beings, their scaled skin shimmering with bioluminescent patterns. Ornate armor covered their powerful frames, and their cold eyes surveyed the cowering humans with calculating intelligence. At their head walked Commander Zorak, his violet gaze commanding and merciless. But it was the creature that followed that truly struck fear into every heart. The Fenrax, Shadow, as the cracks called it, was massive beyond imagination. Its muscular body rippled beneath fur so black it seemed to absorb light itself. Golden eyes burned like molten fire, and razor-sharp fangs gleamed as it let out a low, threatening growl. Each step of its enormous paws left deep impressions in the earth. "It's a big kitty," Timmy whispered in wonder, apparently the only one not paralyzed by fear. "Timmy, no." Mara hissed, pulling him close to her trembling body. Commander Zorak stepped forward, his voice amplified by alien technology. "People of Verdona," he announced coldly, "your planet is now under the protection of the Crack's dominion. Resistance is futile. Submit, and you will live." The Fenrax threw back its head and roared, a sound that shook the very foundations of the buildings. Villagers dropped to their knees, some weeping in terror. But Timmy continued to stare at the magnificent beast, his young mind seeing something others missed entirely. The demonstration. To establish their dominance, the Cracks wasted no time in showing their power. In the village square, they erected a massive reinforced pillar, a structure designed to withstand incredible force. The metal gleamed ominously in the fading light. "Behold," Commander Zorak declared to the assembled crowd, "the strength of our Fenrax." Timmy pressed against his mother, peering around her arm as Zorak gestured to the beast. Shadow prowled forward, its massive form moving with predatory grace. The creature's golden eyes locked onto the pillar, and a deep growl rumbled from its throat. "What are they doing?" Timmy whispered. "Stay quiet," Mara replied, her voice trembling. Zorak raised his arm, and the Fenrax tensed like a coiled spring. With a deafening roar that made windows rattle, the beast lunged forward. Its claws struck the reinforced metal with blinding speed, carving deep gouges as easily as cutting through paper. The crowd gasped as sparks flew. With one final, powerful swipe, the pillar shattered completely, pieces scattering across the square like broken toys. "This is the power of the Fenrax," Zorak announced, his cold eyes scanning the terrified faces. "Obey the Dominion, and you will not suffer its wrath." Shadow prowled the square, its burning gaze causing villagers to shrink back in fear. But when those golden eyes briefly met Timmy's, the boy saw something unexpected, not the fire of rage, but a flicker of something deeper. "It doesn't look mean," Timmy murmured, loud enough for his mother to hear. "Timmy." Mara grabbed his arm, pulling him back. "Don't say things like that." "But it doesn't," Timmy insisted, his young voice carrying innocent conviction. It looks sad. Mara's grip tightened as she noticed Commander Zorak's gaze flick toward them. She prayed he hadn't heard her son's words, but the alien commander's expression remained unreadable. Even more unsettling, the Fenrax had paused in its patrol, those glowing eyes settling on Timmy for a long moment before moving on. As the villagers were dismissed under heavy guard, Mara dragged Timmy home. "You stay inside," she said sternly, bolting the door behind them. "And you don't go near that thing. Do you understand?" Timmy nodded, but his thoughts were elsewhere. He couldn't shake the image of those golden eyes, or the feeling that the monster everyone feared was not what it seemed. In his young heart, a seed of determination began to grow. First contact. The next morning brought an eerie quiet to the village square. Shadow sat tethered to a reinforced post at the center, the creature's massive frame still as a statue except for the occasional flick of its tail. The Crack's guards stood at their posts, confident that no one would dare approach their deadly weapon. From his bedroom window, Timmy watched the beast intently. While the villagers whispered of monsters and destruction, all he saw was loneliness, a powerful creature trapped and far from home. "Timmy, step away from the window," Mara called sharply from the kitchen. She was busy securing every lock and bolt. "You're not going near that thing." "Yes, Mom," Timmy replied, but his fingers tightened around his stuffed tiger. A plan was already forming in his young mind. When Mara became absorbed in her morning chores, Timmy saw his chance. He slipped out the back door, his small frame darting through the garden toward the square. His heart pounded with each step, but his determination never wavered. The morning air was cool, casting long shadows across the empty square. The Crack's guards paid little attention to a small boy, after all, who would be foolish enough to approach the Fenrax. As Timmy drew closer, Shadow's enormous head turned slightly. Those burning golden eyes locked onto the boy, and for a moment, the world held its breath. Timmy froze, clutching his stuffed tiger, his courage wavering. But then he saw it again, that hint of sadness, of longing. "Hi, big kitty," Timmy said softly, taking another brave step forward. "I brought you something." From behind his back, he produced a small piece of dried meat, a treat he had saved from dinner the night before. His tiny hand trembled as he held it out. Shadow let out a low growl, its massive paw shifting. The Crack's guards tensed, weapons raised, but something made them hesitate. They watched in fascination and confusion as the small human boy took another step closer. "It's okay," Timmy said, his voice steady despite his racing heart. "I know you're not really mean." The Fenrax lowered its great head slightly, nostrils flaring as it caught the scent of the offering. Then, to everyone's astonishment, the beast gently took the dried meat from Timmy's hand. Its massive teeth brushed against his fingers without causing the slightest harm. Timmy giggled with delight. "See? You're just hungry." Shadow rumbled softly, a sound that was almost like a purr. The guards exchanged shocked glances, unsure of what they were witnessing. From the balcony of his flagship, Commander Zorak observed the scene below, his sharp eyes narrowing in disbelief. The Fenrax, the galaxy's deadliest predator, was behaving in a way he had never seen before. "What is the meaning of this?" he growled to his second-in-command. "The Fenrax does not bond. It destroys." But on the ground below, something extraordinary was happening that would change everything. The bond. Emboldened by the gentle response, Timmy took another step forward. His small hand reached out, trembling slightly as he placed it on Shadow's enormous snout. The beast tensed for a moment, its golden eyes narrowing as every guard raised their weapons. But instead of violence, Shadow simply exhaled, a long, rumbling breath that seemed to release years of tension. The creature's eyes closed as if in relief. "You're not so scary," Timmy whispered, gently stroking the beast's fur. "You're just a big softy." What happened next shocked everyone into silence. Timmy leaned forward and, with the pure innocence of childhood, kissed Shadow gently on the nose. The square fell completely silent. Shadow's glowing eyes snapped open, and for a terrifying moment, the tension was unbearable. But then, something miraculous occurred. The Fenrax let out a deep, resonant purr, a sound of contentment that no one had ever heard from the creature before. Its massive body relaxed completely as it lowered its head to the ground, ears flattening in a gesture of submission that left even the hardened Krax guard speechless. This is impossible," Commander Zorak muttered from his observation post, his confidence shaken for the first time in years. Timmy giggled, wrapping his small arms around as much of Shadow's snout as he could reach. "See? You're not mean at all." At that moment, Mara burst into the square, her face pale with terror. "Timmy," she screamed, rushing toward her son. "What are you doing?" Shadow raised its head slightly, a warning growl rumbling in its throat as Mara approached. But Timmy simply placed his hand on the beast's snout, and the creature calmed instantly. "It's okay, Mommy," Timmy said, turning to her with a radiant smile. "Shadow's my friend now." "Shadow?" Mara repeated, her voice trembling. "That's his name," Timmy explained confidently. "He likes it." Mara's knees nearly buckled as she stared at the enormous predator now sitting calmly beside her son, its golden eyes watchful but no longer hostile. From above, Commander Zorak witnessed something that challenged everything he believed about power and control. The galaxy's most feared weapon had been tamed not by force or technology, but by the simple, genuine kindness of a child. And in that moment, both alien and human began to understand that perhaps there was more than one way to conquer a world. The transformation. The days that followed changed everything on Verdona. Word of Timmy's incredible bond with Shadow spread throughout the colony, and gradually, fear began to transform into wonder. The boy visited the Fenrax daily, always bringing small gifts of food and spending hours talking to his massive friend. Commander Zorak found himself deeply troubled by what he witnessed. His entire philosophy of conquest relied on fear and intimidation, yet here was proof that connection could be more powerful than any weapon. "Sir," his second-in-command approached cautiously, "the troops are unsettled. They've never seen the Fenrax behave this way." Zorak watched from his balcony as Timmy played with Shadow in the square below. The beast that had once terrorized entire star systems now lay contentedly on its side, allowing the small boy to use its massive paw as a pillow while he read stories aloud. "Perhaps," Zorak said slowly, "we have been approaching conquest in the wrong way." That evening, Zorak made an unprecedented decision. He descended to the square where Timmy sat beside Shadow, the boy's mother watching nervously from nearby. "Young human," Zorak said, his voice lacking its usual harsh command. "You have done something no warrior in the galaxy has accomplished." Timmy looked up innocently. "I just wanted to be his friend. Everyone needs friends." The simple truth of those words struck Zorak like a physical blow. In all his years of conquest, he had never considered friendship as a form of strength. "Commander," Timmy continued, "Shadow told me he misses his home. Don't you miss yours too?" Zorak was taken aback. No one had ever asked him such a question. After a long moment, he knelt down to the boy's level. "Yes, young one. I do." What followed was unprecedented in Krax history. Instead of ruling through fear, Zorak began to establish genuine diplomatic relations with Verdona. The colonists, inspired by Timmy's courage, opened their hearts to their former invaders. Shadow became not a weapon of war, but an ambassador of peace, living proof that understanding could bridge even the vast differences between species. Months later, as the twin sun set over Verdona, Timmy sat in his favorite spot beside Shadow, now free from any tethers. The Fenrax had chosen to stay, finding in this peaceful world something it had never known, a true home. Commander Zorak, who had also chosen to remain as the first Krax ambassador to humanity, approached them with a smile, an expression his species rarely displayed. "You were right, young Timmy," he said. "Everyone does need friends." The boy grinned, hugging Shadow's massive paw. "I told you he wasn't mean. He just needed someone to show him love. As the stars began to twinkle in the darkening sky, the former enemies sat together in peaceful companionship, watching the luminous flutterbugs dance in the gentle evening breeze. On Verdona, fear had been conquered not by force, but by the simple power of a child's compassion. And in that quiet valley, a new chapter of galactic history began, one written not in blood and conquest, but in friendship and understanding. The end.